back. I wanted to give you a quick shop update because it's looking pretty grim in regards of shop project videos that I want to do. So I'm just giving you a quick update what I'm up to and what I'm working on. So you might notice that I'm sitting next to the shaper, and this might be probably the last time you did see the shaper on video because it's going away. Yes, you heard right. I know it's illegal to sell a shaper, but I'm getting rid of it. A good friend of mine is going to buy the machine from me. I need the space, and he has the space and he wants it, so that's a win-win, I guess. I'm selling the shaper because obviously I need a space, and the machine that's going in the space here will be a universal tool and cutter grinder. I already have the deep bit grinder, which is a very basic tool cutter grinder or single lip cutter grinder. But I want something in the realms of a proper tool cutter grinder that's like a surface grinder with an articulating head that can tilt and swivel and move around. And also I want all the tool grinding accessories like the like a multiple axis wise, the winding heads, and especially a motorized headstock for cylindrical grinding. I want to add a high-speed spindle for ID grinding and lots more. I want to use it more for universal grinding, not so much for tool grinding. But also tool grinding, seeing Steve Sommer using his KO Lee grinder so much and learning how to do tool cutter grinding. So yeah, I'm on the hunt for a small tool grinder. I'm looking for about 300mm table travel, and I want to have at least 200mm between the table and the grinding wheel, the underside of the grinding wheel. So I can stack larger setups on that machine than I can on my surface grinder. No, the surface grinder will not go away. I love that small machine. It's very precise and it's very nimble, and I use it so much. So surface grinder will stay, but I want a larger grinder, a secondary grinder that can do odd setups. On the surface grinder behind me, it's hard to do stacked setups with a rotary axis in Weiss and stacking stuff up because I can't get the wheel only 100mm over the magnet. That's not too much. So yeah, I'm looking for a tool cutter grinder. Okay, this is something I was working on for maybe the last half year in between jobs here in the shop. A set of metric setup blocks. These are like 1, 2, 3 blocks, just metric, 20, 40, and 60mm. And I'm using the Rensetti hole pattern. That means every hole has a counterbore and a thread. And it uses a special necked down screw as a means to fasten all these parts together. It's a captive screw. Let's get this out here. So the screw is a normal M6 screw with the head reduced in diameter slightly because counterbores are only 9mm, and it has a neck down here. It's below the minor diameter of the thread. So you can take one of the threads in this block and thread the screw through it, and it engages the thread normal. And then it will reach the end of the thread, and the neck will sit in the thread, and the screw can spin freely. That allows you to bolt it to another block, just like this. Set it at an angle or do whatever, tighten it down. And then you have two blocks at an angle. And I have 4 of these blocks with the holes. I have 2 blocks the same dimension with no holes for the grinder, because no holes mean that you don't collect as much dirt. And I have this large plate here which will stay unhardened because I ordered the material as pre-ground material without grinding allowance. Stupid me. So I'm not going to harden this because I want to keep it at 20mm thickness. And then in the same system I'm building a precision spindle. I built some spindles before, mainly for milling, very basic designs, but this one I went a little bit farther. I have the housing here. All these parts are O2 tool steel and hardened to 55 Rockwell C. The blocks are hardened to stay soft. All the spindle parts will be hardened too. The housing has the same 6mm threaded holes on a 10mm pattern, so I can bolt the spindle, for example, to this plate and have this sit on the magnet of the surface grinder off the table even, and do cylindrical grinding with it. It will have an indexing plate for 36 divisions and an O-ring drive, so I can do motorized grinding with it. The spindle itself is this part here. It's hardened. I already hard turned the face, this OD here, and hard turned the ID with CBN tooling, and then I lapped it to a very close sliding fit of a 5C collet. Obviously there is no 5C taper here. The 5C nose will be an additional part that bolts on with this 8-hole bolt pattern, and has an adjust through feature, 4 screws on the perimeter of this part here. That allows me to push the 5C cone around and dial the part in the collet in perfectly. Speaking of perfectly, I bought some NSK high precision bearings, super precision bearings. These are 6008 A5 P3 high precision bearings. Normally each one of these bearings would set you back about 200 euros, one of them. I got them off eBay as new old stock, original packaged, for way less than that as a pair, as a matched pair. So yeah, this is the spindle. The housing obviously is hardened, and I already did very rough grinding. Rough grinding shows very much in the grinding finish here. And I hard bored both of the bearing seats on both sides here with CBN tool. I will lap the bearing diameter for roundness and final dimension. Here on the side I have a hole going in at 45 degree with an M16x1 fine thread, and in here, down here is a smaller diameter. I will put a carbide bushing in there, lap it to a very close fit on a pin, and that's the indexing pin then. It will be a spring-loaded wedge-shaped index pin that goes in a indexing disc. This is the blank for the indexing disc. Obviously I didn't cut the notches yet. I want to make this thing as precise as possible, and it might be possible that I get a Moore rotary table. It's not all, it's not sure yet, but it looks very much like I get the Moore 276mm standard rotary table with 12 arc seconds accuracy sooner or later here in my shop. It's a very large rotary table, but it's also pretty precise, and I might use it to do the final inspection and lapping of the teeth of this indexing gear. Let's call it gear. So much to learn on this project. And first I wanted to send it out for hardening, but then I decided to do the hardening myself in the oven, and it worked out very well. No cracking, no soft spots, get perfectly hard all the way around, 55 hard. Worked beautifully. Same for the spindle. Got out nice and hard. Didn't move very much during hardening. Very, very, very happy how this turned out so far. Obviously, the blocks are not ground yet. And then this happened. As you can see, we're over at the CNC router, and you might remember I had always this Crest router motor mounted here as a spindle. I got rid of it and I replaced it with a 24,000 RPM high-speed spindle, high-frequency spindle, 0.8 kilowatts, or 800 watts for that matter, with an additional Toolchanger attachment. Spindle goes from here to here, and the Toolchanger is this blue part down here. And what this does is, it allows quick tool change, like on a normal vertical machining center with 40 taper tooling or HSK tooling. This is a number 10 taper, so it's tiny. This is a number 4 Morse taper with a shell mill, and this is a number 10 taper with a 6mm chamfer mill. And this is how the tool change works. Right now it's only set up for manual tool change by taking the tool by hand, but I want to have a linear changer, changing rack where all the tools I need are set up back here, and the spindle moves back there, places the tool and the spindle down in the rack, and moves over and picks up the other tool. A lot of the older Datron machines that I ran at work, the M3 and M35, had that style of changer with the tools exposed, and that worked very well. The machine had compressed air to blow all the crap away from the tools. Yeah, this is spindle. Very nice setup. This is sold by Mechatron here in Germany. I will put the link down in the description, also a link to the spindle itself and to the tool changer attachment as it's sold. There is a reseller here in Germany, Sorotec. They sell those two parts, and they also have all the prices listed. Here are some of the tool holders. I have two styles, ER16 collet chucks and ER11 collet chucks. I like the ER11 because they're very slim and do not obscure the view as much as the ER16. ER16 obviously are a little bit stiffer because the overall diameter is larger. This one holds my Interrapid dial test indicator for centering parts and finding edges and aligning stuff. Very nice, just to pop it in the spindle and go for it. Long 4mm carbide ball end mill, use that regularly on a recurring job. 6mm chamfer end mill and 2mm carbide 2-flute PCB mill. Those are some of the tools I use very frequently on that machine. So yeah, as I said, highly likely that I get a Moore rotary table. This has a table diameter of 276 millimeters, which I'm sure equates to some inch dimension. And as you can see, it kind of fits on my milling machine. And yeah, I know it's illegal to put a Moore rotary on a RF-45 style milling machine. I can hear you scream all over the internet right now for a reason. But hear me. While the base machine is obviously not a jig borer or jig grinder, not even a highly precise tool room mill, this rotary table will still help me to do certain operations to a very high degree of accuracy, like drilling index plates, high precise index plates, or to cut very precise graduations on dials and graduated rings, stuff like that. Or flip parts that have to be machined on one side and very precisely machine something on the other side and flip the part by 180 degrees with the rotary table. This will do it very precisely, without a doubt. And even as the base machine is just a Chinese mill, this will work. This bugger is heavy. It's 75 kilograms, 57 kilograms, sorry. And it comes with its own handle. This is aluminum cast. Very nice touch. They put some rubber on here so you do not mar up the pornographic nice scraping on here. As far as I can tell, this rotary table is almost unused, maybe for some jig grinding, because I found some grinding dust in here in the central bore. Might be used for grinding. And of course you ask where I got this. I bought a lot of tools, basically 2 trailers full of tools from my employer. Lots of manual mill accessories, a lot of cutting tools. And we also still have a Moore number 3 jig grinder at work, but it's out of commission, it's going away. It's replaced by wire EDM for years now. And the machine is going away and the accessories are also going away. And while I do not have the space for a Moore number 3 jig grinder, which I would love to own, I could make a deal to get this guy here. And I also got some other stuff out of the Moore accessories, but the machine will go away. But yeah, I have this rotary table. It's in a good place here. I will use it, and I will give it a hug from time to time. This is just beautiful. This is on par with something like Sipphauser or the optical rotary table of a Deckel LKS, LKB jig borer, jig grinder. This is just very nicely made. So this is vertical precision. As you can see, I basically can machine stuff that's almost as large as the rotary table itself in diameter. So that's very nice capabilities. I guess this thing is rock solid once it's bolted down. Unfortunately, the slots here do not match because the spacing on the rotary table obviously is inch dimension, and the spacing on the T-slots on this machine is metric. So I have to recut these slots with an angle grinder. No big deal. Just joking. I will use some offset clamps, of course. I will not angle grind these slots wider. But I will hit the tabletop as suggested with some 60 grit emery cloth. So let's flip this over in horizontal position. Okay, this is the table in horizontal orientation, and this looks pretty darn good. It's a very large surface here to work on. I can access I can use the full travel of the machine. And yeah, this is actually pretty decent size for this machine. It's big and heavy, but it works. If you consider a Moore number 3 base, is not that large. It is large because it's built like a brick, but it's the travels are not that large. So this will work out. I have 1 or 2 ideas what to do with this guy. Okay, it's really hard to show scraping of this kind on camera, but I guess you can see this incredible uniform flaking Moore-style scraping on this table. It's really ridiculous how precisely this scraping is done. This is this is quite decent. The bore in here is there's a sleeve in here that's hardened, ground, and lapped to gauge diameter. I have to get the manual for this rotary table. It has 3 oil plugs here and oil glass, a side glass for the oil level at the backside, and it doesn't show any oil in it, so I do not want to move this too much around. I already found the lock here, which acts on the underside of the rotary table. I do not find any means of disengaging the worm, and I got the Moore catalog here, printout, and they state 2 kinds of rotary tables. Standard rotary table, plus minus 12 arc seconds accuracy, has a worm drive that can be disengaged. The ultra precision rotary table, plus minus 6 arc seconds precision, has a non-disengageable worm, and I cannot find any way to disengage the worm on this guy. So I guess this is the this is the ultra precision version. That means plus minus 6 arc seconds accuracy in each orientation. Roundness, how round it moves, it's 0.25 micron. So I can use this as a roundness normal. I can put something on it, center it, and then spin it and check the roundness of the part, which is nice. I didn't have this ability before. This top surface is flat to 1.3 microns. It's parallel to the bottom of the rotary tool to 1.9 micron, and the central bore has a maximum runout of 2.3 micron. So yeah, pretty decent, even for an import tool. Just joking. I'm really happy with this guy. It moves smooth, but it's very tight. It's brutal tight. Not sure. I will see if I can get a manual on this guy. I hope I do not have to tear this down. Or maybe I want to, but we'll see. And obviously my mill has something in common with a jig borer. The indicator clamp fits the spindle nose of this machine, which is quite nice. Now I have a second one. Okay, another piece of Moore tooling. This is a centering microscope. Not sure. I guess this bayonet mount up here goes into the jig grinder spindle, because it has no spindle taper. I guess this comes off when I open these 4 screws, and I can make a Morse taper shank that fits my mill. I will have to turn and grind Morse taper shank for this guy. Obviously the same microscope and the same box was used for the jig borer version with taper shank that takes place in here. I have no idea what this is. This is a magnet, it's surface ground, and it has the steel plate with a pin here. I'm not sure if this is a Moore accessory or if somebody at the company made this. So yeah, I will use this. I also got this is an accessory to the Moore jig grinders. This is a diamond dresser on a Mac base. This is a funny design. This has a very fine thread here, and it's held on to the Mac base just via magnetism, and when you turn it, the fine thread on here feeds the magnet forward. And I can use this on a surface grinder to side dress a wheel to thickness, or place it like this, have this hang off the magnet, and do peripheral dressing. And what I found funny, when we take the diamond spindle off, this is just a V-block without any threads. So this sits just in here and feeds on a smooth surface. Quite funky. Also got this dresser here, also a jig grinder accessory. This is also for side dressing wheels. Has a strong magnet down here. This is not Moore accessory. This is a very rusty sine base. Not really very rusty, primarily dirty, but it's nice. Goes up to 45 degrees, locks. And it's very nicely made. This thing is all hardened. Everything on this guy is hardened, and I will see if I can adapt a vise to it. Then I have a sine vise, quite a nice one. Maybe I can hard drill one of my grinding vices to match the whole pattern. We will see. Hope this cleans up nicely, but shouldn't be too bad. This design of a sine base is not brilliant because those two strap clamps here are always in the way when you have it set to a low angle. There are designs with arc-shaped straps, and those are more accessible. I'm not sure if this is a bought one or if this is shop made. Of course, we cannot talk Moore accessories without these setup blocks. This is the 6-piece setup block set. 6 1, 2, 3 blocks and 6. I have no idea what this is in inch. Sorry. It's 22 and 22.25 by 31.75 by 38.10. So I'm sure that's some fraction. Very nicely made, matched set. I guess originally those were lapped, but these were heavily used. The jig grinder at work where I buy this set was used a lot. It was primarily used to grind holes in punch tooling, and also grind the guide bushing holes in mold bases, stuff like that. General tool making stuff. Today we do that all on the wire EDM or even on the VMCs. But yeah, these were heavily used and they have some wear or they show some marks of use, but I will put them on a surface plate and check them against each other, but I guess they are not too bad. Originally, I guess they were good enough to ring together. And yeah, they still do like a gauge block, which is quite nice. Look. So yeah, this is the set. Good thing, the good thing, these blocks have non-metric threads, obviously, so it came with the screws, 3/8 maybe, and this is 1/4 inch, also with the keys so I can use it, and even with T-nuts that fit the rotary table. Funny thing, these T-nuts are a very unique shape, have very short thread engagement, but they are hardened. But yeah, very nice. The felt up here is falling apart, obviously. I have to do something about that. I'm not going to leave it like that. That's ugly. Ugh. Ugh. Yeah, this is falling apart. This is like the old Mitoyo boxes with the foam disintegrating and making a huge mess. Ugh. Oh boy, that's a lot to sort through. That's also part of the stuff I bought. Remus, tons of parallels, carbide blanks. All in here are round carbide blanks, saw blades, slitting saws, reamers. It's so much stuff to go through. I have a few boxes out in the shed because I'm out of space in here. And then I made this contraption. This is a dual-wise pallet. With a piece of O2 tool steel, milled parallel, which works surprisingly well. Surface grinder was barely too small to grind it, so I face milled it. Got it well within 0.01 millimeters thickness wise. And I bought 2 similar import grinding vices. People ask me all the time where I get the grinding vise. I just buy some off eBay. I never had problems buying these, no matter who sold them. Only thing I look for is that they have the slots on the side and on the front and back to hold them down. Apart from that, yeah, this is your basic style of import grinding vise. I was expecting that I have to match grind these to be the same height overall, but I got totally lucky. These two seem to be out of the same batch or whatever, and they're perfectly the same. I was very surprised how well they are matched. So put them here on this plate, make these bars here, just like I do on my larger grinding vise on the mill and on the engraver. And I clamp down the 2 grinding vices. I have a fixed distance, a set distance between here that I set with gauge blocks, so I have a known offset. And I made this specially to go on my angle table to mill long, narrow strips at an angle. But it can also go on the CNC router if I have to do multiple parts. Very nice because my offset here is a known distance. I can use it on the mill. I have the same hole pattern as in my setup blocks. The M6 threads only on a 20mm grid, which is also compatible. And I can bolt, for example, one of the blocks to the back and hold the block then in the vise, which allows very quick and easy setup for very light milling. So this has proven. I made this for a specific job, but since then I used it a few times more, and it's really very useful. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this quick update on my shop. Please don't be sad about the shaper going away. I hope the reality is that I use the shaper very in the recent time only for keyway broaching and one specific job that I will do in future on the milling machine. That I will show you my solution to do it there. So please excuse the lack of videos in the recent time. My day, as everybody else's day, only has 24 hours, and we all have to make the best of these 24 hours. So thank you for spending a few minutes of those 24 hours watching this video, and see you next time.